You need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.
Let's start with those Bengals. Start with Joe Burrow and get on with it, because this is a team 9-8 last year, 10-7 against the spread. Though I swore last year when we were looking at this roster, I was like, this defense is gonna figure it out because Lou Anarumo is that good of a coordinator. I was brutally wrong, because if their defense figured anything out, I think this team wins 10, 12, 13 games last year. I thought they were going to be a Super Bowl contender. And frankly, I was super disappointed they weren't, because I had some bets on them. I was trying to ride those bets to the end of the year, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, so looking at the team last year, it seemed like every time they lost, you're like, oh, well, they're going to bounce back. They're going to bounce back. They're going to bounce back. And then they were in such a hole by the end of the season that they couldn't come back from it. But, I mean, probably the scariest team you'd ever want to play hosting a home game week 1 of the playoffs against the 7 seed Cincinnati Bengals last year if they would have squeaked in.
Actually, come to think of it, last year, weeks 1 and 2, 2 different AFC North teams knocked me out of the same Survivor League where you could buy back in if you lost week 1.
Did you go Bengals then?
Bengals week 1 against the Patriots, lost 10-16.
Oh, yeah.
And week 2, Ravens against the Raiders, with the Ravens losing at home. Just brutal. AFC North killed me last year, come to think of it.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because you look back and don't they make the playoffs if they beat the Patriots?
Probably. I mean, that would have put them at 10 wins and
probably some tiebreakers in there, because I think 10 wins was.
I mean, I have to.
Floor.
Yeah, I think everyone who made the playoffs had 10 wins last year, but did they have a tiebreaker over the Steelers? No, well, I don't know if they did. They split with the Steelers, so we don't need to get into all of the nitty gritty there. But they very well might have made the playoffs had it not been for that week 1 loss.
Yeah, and I mean they bring back Burrow. A healthy Burrow is one of the most electric players in the league, joined by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins when they're healthy. It's such a dynamic offense. Yoshi Voss is the 3. You're one of your favorite guys.
Yeah, I love Yoshi. I think supposedly he's put on 15 pounds of muscle or something this offseason. I think I saw that somewhere. Fact check me on that. But if he added that mass and kept a good speed, I think he could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and so breaking down this team, it begins and ends with this offense, I think. I mean, we'll get to the defense here in a second, but what do you think about this offensive line moving forward, protecting Joe Burrow?
Offensive line, I mean, I've always thought Orlando Brown gets too much flack. I think he's a really good offensive tackle. I don't think he's some all-pro or anything, even though he has made some all-pros in his career. I think in the right scheme, right system, he can look like that. But I don't know that the Bengals are exactly that team that's doing that for him. But regardless, I think there are probably 20 teams who would gladly take Orlando Brown to start for them right now. I think he is a very good tackle and will probably continue to be here. Now, more questions come in at the other spots. Ted Karras at center, he's fine. He's probably I think of him as a slightly above average center. A lot of fans might hear that and be like, he's not above average. He's not above average interior offensive lineman. But center, there are only 3 or 4 good centers in the NFL, and everyone else is just riding that wave of, am I good enough? And he's definitely a little above the average of that, in my opinion. And then Amarius Mims at right tackle, I am so interested to see how Mims plays in a second year, because this dude is it's like Robert Redford in The Natural. I swear to God. I hated his first year tape at Georgia. And so I didn't watch his second year tape until a little later in the process last year for the draft. When I watched it, I was like, oh my God, how did this guy get so much better over one off? This guy's barely played any football. He's gotten this much better. So I'm really curious to see how much better he got going from rookie year to second year. If he did, he was always a high variance prospect with a lot of questions because of how little experience he did have. But man, if you could make an offensive tackle in a lab, it's him. But the guard spots are where you really have questions. I mean, at left guards, either like Cordell Volson or Dylan Fairchild, depending what depth charts you look at. Fairchild, I liked some in the draft, but I thought he was a day 3 guy. They took him a little earlier than that, I believe. They took him at pick 81 in the 3rd. There's a lot to like there. A big wrestling background. He's got a good power profile. I just didn't like what I saw from him as a run blocker. But in the Bengals offense, I don't know if they're run blocking. Their run blocking's all that important. You know, some offenses lean heavier on the run game to set up the pass than the others. With Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're not doing that. Jalen Rivers is a guy who I think could also do well in this offense. Probably at guard, he's a backup tackle on here, but like this dude's just a brick wall of a human being. I don't really think he can move, but he doesn't really get moved. So like he has that going for him. I think that will play well at guard. At right guard, they have Cody Ford or Lucas Patrick. To be honest, I don't like either of those names. I think both those guys are big liabilities in your offensive line. But if Jalen Rivers and Dylan Fairchild can fill those spots, that's incredible, right? Like, I don't love 2 rookies on an offensive line. Maybe Cordell Volson stays as starter and Rivers and Fairchild can fight it out for the right guard spot. But I think there's some stuff to like here. I like their bookends as long as they stay healthy, particularly Mims. But there is a fair amount of risk here when you're talking about Lucas Patrick being your top veteran reserve or Cody Ford being your top. Like, they have depth and they have enough pieces where I'm like, it could work. It could work well. But I'm also not super confident in it, if that makes sense.
No, I understand what you're saying 100%. So, offensive line, you would say a little bit better than league average, top to bottom?
Yeah, I would say talent-wise, right around maybe slightly above average. But here's the weird thing with the Bengals. Talent doesn't always equal success on the O-line for them because they put their O-line in a lot of true pass set situations. They're one of the hardest O-lines to play on, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, Jay, as an former offensive lineman, what did you like doing better, pass blocking or run blocking?
Oh, run blocking.
What did you feel more powerful, more dominant doing?
Yeah, build your confidence with run blocking, get the rock moving down the field. It opens everything up. So,
yeah, and that the fact that they do so little focused in the run game and so little play action off of it doesn't give their O-line many breathers, and it makes it really hard to play offensive line for them, which isn't an excuse. You knew where you signed, you know where you're going, and what the coaches are asking of you. But it's just some context when you're talking talent versus production in my mind.
Yeah, speaking of the run game, I like Chase Brown a lot. Coming into his 3rd year now?
Yeah, 3rd season.
I like what they can do with Chase Brown, and Zach Moss is a decent compliment there. I think if they can get this run game going, I mean, this offense is going to be damn near impossible to stop.
Yeah, I like Chase Brown. I have questions about him between the tackles. I think that he's a really nice change of pace back. I think he does a lot of nice stuff in the passing game, and his speed is just absolutely electric. I guess Zach Moss and Samaje Perine are more your between the tackles guys. I know Perine gives you some versatility in the pass game too. And they drafted Taj Brooks, our guy.
Yep.
Will be interesting to see because
he's like Chase Brown.
He runs like Chase Brown, but he's built like Samaje Perine. And like I need to see that change in the NFL. He was able to do that in college. I don't think he'll be able to do it in the NFL, but man, he has a lot of potential. Like I really do like his upside if he can learn to run behind his pads a little more.
I think he can find a footing there. He's a gritty guy. Cincinnati's a gritty place. I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, he had some of the best jump cuts of any back in this class. Like he can burst laterally like nobody's business, it's fun to watch, but I think that's enough talk about the 4th string running back, as much as we might love him as Red Raider fans.
Yeah, just keep an eye out for him. You heard it here first. So, okay, Joe Burrow. What does he have to do to get this team back to the Super Bowl?
Stay healthy.
Does he have to stay healthy? Does he have to have like an MVP season?
Yeah, pretty much. He was one of my MVP bets last year. I thought he had to do the same thing. I mean, it's his numbers have to be MVP. It doesn't mean he has to carry the offense necessarily, because you do have T. Higgins, you do have Jamar Chase, you do have a lot of talent in the pass catcher room, but his stats need to be in that MVP range because they're going to need the offense to do a lot of the legwork here.
40 plus touchdowns, single digit interceptions.
I guess something like that. I'm not even sure. Where his numbers last year? Let's see.
They were huge.
Yeah, that's right. I had an MVP future on him. I remember watching. That's why I wanted them to make the playoffs so much. Aside from Super Bowl bets, it was just like, I need Joe Burrow to win MVP because I'm going to get paid out. I think I doubled down like after they started 0-3 and was just like,
yeah,
I need him to win MVP. Yeah, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, almost 5,000 yards. Like, he had ludicrous numbers. And
yeah, if they just win a couple of those early games where they just couldn't get their shit together, like what could have been. But yeah, he's got to do it again.
Well, and I think some of the early struggles came down to his health. He got hurt in camp last year, if I remember correctly.
Was it in camp or he was hurt going into camp? Like he had like a lingering,
something along those lines,
lingering calf or something.
Yeah, but Cincinnati's number one goal has to be him getting week 1 fully healthy and then keeping him as healthy as possible throughout the year, because when he's good, there's really no stopping this offense. It's just how limited he might be by those injuries that we've seen.
Yeah. So hypothetically, I mean, we talked about it kind of last year. If they started slow, would we see a trade of T. Higgins? Now that he signed the contract, is that just completely out the window? Or you think if they start out 0-3 again and then they're 2-6 by week 8, do you think they start actually taking offers from T. Higgins? I'm shocked he's still on the team, and I'm shocked he got the contract.
I mean, I don't think you're moving that contract. Like, I mean, he's.
You don't think somebody would take that?
I mean, I don't know why. I think they're eating a bunch of dead money to do it. It's a 4-year deal that's brand spanking new. I mean, I guess the dead money's not that bad pulling up. It's like 20 million, 25 million, but which is still a ton, but like it's not awful by that type of contract standards. Yeah. I don't think their plan was ever to get rid of him. I said this last year. I don't think they're going to get rid of T. Higgins. I think that you have fully bought in, if you're the Bengals, to what sells tickets. Who's the ownership group we're talking about? What sells tickets? How much do they care about money in this organization? The offense, Joe Burrow and his weapons are what sell tickets, and they made sure they kept that intact.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from that aspect. I don't know if it makes football sense, but hey, we can talk about the defense a little bit now. So they gotta put something together. They were abysmal last year.
Well,
so if they do make a jump this year, where does it come from?
So if they make a jump, it's got to come from young player development, right? Yeah. Like, you need Chris Jenkins to become something, which this is his second year. He was a highly drafted defensive tackle. You need him to show that upside that I know he has. He has a ton of potential.
He a Michigan guy?
Yes, he is a Michigan guy.
Yeah, he ain't going to do shit.
Yeah, I know how you love those guys. Miles Murphy, I have real questions whether he's ever going to be anything at this point. Like, there's just not much inspiring you see. And when you watch him at Clemson, there wasn't much inspiring to see. Chris Jenkins' college tape, you saw the flashes all over the tape. Miles Murphy, you didn't see it as much. It was just kind of like, oh, this guy's really long and athletic, but like he's not doing a lot. So I'm not sure he's going to make that jump. But you need Trey Hendrickson. You need Trey Hendrickson to stay the same guy and be on the field.
Yeah, you know who else they need on the field? Shemar Stewart.
Yeah, they also need Shemar Stewart on the field. I mean,
and they're 0-2 in that battle right now. And we're what, a month away from camp? A month and a half?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with that, man. I mean, I have to imagine they figure it out with Hendrickson and Stewart before the season starts. It's such a bad look. It's such a bad spot to be in. Like,
so they were negotiating with Trey Hendrickson, stopped negotiating with him, and then as soon as they couldn't, the fact that you can't sign a rookie first-round pick in today's era, where it's basically like You just give him the money and sign is ludicrous. But as soon as they put in all the stipulations in his rookie deal, he was like, "I'm not signing that shit." And then they go back to Trey Hendrickson. They're like, "Okay, let's go back to the board here. We need at least one pass rusher." And what that Schefter report was last week that they're renegotiating with Hendrickson. We haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything about it recently. I just heard the Shemar Stewart drama last week, and then it was just like, oh well, I haven't heard anything about Trey since he blew up. Like, everyone hates this front office, and
right after the news about Shemar Stewart not signing because they put the stipulations in there, Schefter reported that they're back in contact with Trey Hendrickson trying to work out a deal, and it's like, what are you doing here?
Just get it done. Like, I mean, I don't know. I like BJ Hill on their D line. As I said, I still like Chris Jenkins. I still think he has all the talent in the world. I think TJ Slayton, this number next to his name, does not give enough credit to the player that TJ Slayton is. I think he's a heck of a nose tackle coming over from Green Bay. Thank God. I'm glad to see him leave Green Bay. But I mean, I don't know. There's not. If you don't have Hendrickson out there, there's not a lot to be inspired about with this group other than like Slayton and Hill. I think they can probably stop the run up. Same with Jenkins.
What about Miles Murphy?
I just don't. That's what I was saying earlier out of Clemson. Like, I just don't. I'm not very inspired by much I've seen from him in the NFL. And like,
he's still young though.
He is. This is going into his third year, and he still hasn't really flashed anything to feel good about. I mean, I'm not sure if there were any injuries in there. I don't think he missed any time really, but let's find out just to be sure.
No, he's only 20. He just turned 23.
Yeah, I mean, he played 13 games last year, so he missed a few games, but 3 sacks his rookie year, none last year. I mean, I just don't know, man. I have to think by like as an edge rusher, if you're not getting at much production and much opportunity by your third year.
Yeah,
I just don't know what there is that's going to change. Now, this is his third year, so this is the make or break spot for him in my mind.
And then if Shemar Stewart comes on, I like the potential of Shemar Stewart a lot. I think he could be an absolute dog for him.
We all love the potential of Shemar Stewart. Texas A&M loved the potential of Shemar Stewart too.
Yeah, they did. But yeah, I mean, if you can get a guy like Miles Murphy going, Shemar Stewart going, Chris Jenkins, and then everybody else, BJ Hill, Asai, Hendrickson, all stay healthy. I mean, you could have a pretty good rotation on this defensive line.
Hey, they have – what I will say about this defensive line, they have a bunch of big, long, and strong dudes. Like, they have the ability to just hold the point and move people. And they can probably be good run defenders if they're all playing on the same page and staying healthy. Last year, this defense was not good. So, like, TJ Slayton should help in the run game, but like I'm struggling to see why they were so bad when they had these players who should, in theory, be good run defenders.
Yeah. And then at linebacker, you have Russell Wilson's brother Logan. Roman Wilson
rivalry.
Roman Wilson's cousin.
Peyton Wilson's uncle.
Yep. All true. So Logan Wilson's not a bad linebacker. He's solid.
I think Logan Wilson's underrated at this point, honestly. Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of tape on him from last year, but like 3 years ago, I remember seeing him flashing all over the tape and just always being impressed when I saw him playing. So unless that drastically changed, basically I'm sitting here going, I've seen it from him. I've seen him play good coverage in a defense that asks a lot out of their linebackers in coverage under Lou Anarumo. I don't see why he can't do it again.
Yeah. And then, all right. So you look at this DB room. Dax Hill, drafted a couple of years ago. I loved him coming out. I don't think he's quite where they want him to be, but he's still got some potential. I mean, he flies all over the field.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their role is for him this year. Let's see. Because they asked him to be more the nickel last year, 2 years ago. He played a decent amount of outside, which didn't work out so well. I believe it was more the nickel last year, but I don't know. He's just kind of. I remember that this kind of haunts me. We had one of our friends of the show, Michael Rockman, on right after the draft, or right before the draft, and we were talking about Dax Hill and how we both liked him. And Rockman was kind of saying like, "Yeah, I want to like him, but he just doesn't fit anywhere. He's like a Swiss Army knife who excels at nothing but is good enough at everything." And I was wrong. He played mostly outside last year, after playing more inside previously and more safety previously. Last year he was kind of more limited to the outside. I'm not sure what their plan is for him this year. Some of the depth charts had him as a nickel, some had him as a safety. Honestly, Al Golden's coming in here as D coordinator. I wouldn't be shocked if they had more of a dime back role in mind for him. I think that would really fit his skill set better than anything we've really seen him do in the NFL to this point. But yeah, he's just an interesting player. He can do so much, but he doesn't really excel or hasn't shown the ability to excel in the NFL at much of anything.
Yeah. So what about these other corners that they got? Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner.
I think Taylor Britt is like a decent number 2 corner. Like he's going to make some fun plays for you. He can be a ball hawk out there at times. But I'm not sure he's really a lockdown guy either. Like we're not talking like Eli Apple burnt toast stuff, but like also I think that he just gives some easy yards at times. And then DJ Turner, super athletic, super physically gifted individual, but I'm not sure the mental aspect has come around for him. I think this is his 3rd or 4th year in the league now. And that's one of the concerns I had about him coming out of Michigan was I saw the speed in it, but it just seemed like there were mental lapses out there. So it'll be interesting to see if he really give much of a bounce here, much of a improvement in a new defense. Grant, like I think that's something that does matter a lot here with this Bengals team. We're talking about a brand new defense for a team who has really had the same guy running that defense for 5 years now, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that DJ Turner can kind of turn a new leaf here under Al Golden. He missed a bunch of time last year. That's what I was just looking up. So he missed like the last 5 or 6 games of the year. And yeah, I mean, he was playing decently up till then. They don't have a 1. This corner doesn't have a number 1.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. Yeah, I mean, playing in the North, I mean, I wouldn't say anybody's passing attack absolutely scares shit out of you. So, I mean, you could probably get away with it. Yeah, exactly. So you could probably get away with decent corner play, good safety play. But yeah, I think it begins and ends with that defensive line, especially in that division.
Yeah. And one guy who we didn't mention, who I just want to mention briefly, is Demetrius Knight. He's just a downhill maniac. Like he's a 25-year-old rookie out of South Carolina. The dude actually, I believe he was driving DoorDash while he was playing football at University of Charlotte at one point to support his kids. Like, so it's a really cool backstory for him, and he's just a maniac on the field. He just comes flying downhill about as fast as a linebacker in the league right now. I'm not sure what he can really do moving backwards in coverage, but at the will linebacker spot, you might just be asking him to float to traffic anyways. So, like, I think that he can be a good player for them.
Can he tackle Tractor Cito?
He can try.
Well, that's all you can ask for, really. So, looking at this team going forward this year, got a big win total here, 9.5. So, looking at double-digit wins possibly, and that's minus 120. So, I mean, if you want plus money at that, you're going to have to probably bet over 10.5, and you're probably still only getting about plus 130 there. Playoffs at minus 158, division plus 230, Super Bowl at 21-1. For value, 21-1 on the Super Bowl is pretty good value when you look at the talent of this team. Well, you look at the talent of this offense specifically. I mean, I know defense wins championships, and I know come playoff time, cold weather football, but if they could squeak through and make the Super Bowl playing in a dome, where is it at this year? Arizona? I feel like it's always in Arizona, New Orleans.
Arizona sounds right.
Arizona, New Orleans. But yeah, I mean, you get this team in a dome in a Super Bowl, and
it's at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California.
Outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Could have weather. Could have weather. But no, if I'm taking anything here value wise, I'm taking Super Bowl at 21-1. Division at plus 230. I mean, I don't know if that's good enough value looking at how good the Steelers team is or how good this Ravens team is in the division, and kind of somewhat you know the Steelers are going to win at least 8 or 9 games, and does Aaron Rodgers get them to 10 or 11? I don't know, but I mean this team, if they make their way into the playoffs, I mean they got a puncher's chance against anybody. And like I said, you give me one game with the talent they have here, I'll take 21-1 on Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not against that at all. I'm not sure that I like division just because I think the Ravens are going to be a really tough out this year. And playoffs, there's just no value on the playoff bet, right? Like,
yeah,
it's minus 158. Or why on earth would I throw my money on that? So the best
under at even odds.
That's where I'm going. I mean, the best total value, you're right, might be Super Bowl plus 2,100. But do I really think this defense is going to make that big a step this year? I'm not there yet.
My only thing with the under is that they played so bad last year and hit 9 wins.
Yeah, no, that's a really strong point. And this is a tough team to, I don't know, because that was with a banged up Burrow to start the year, banged up Higgins and Chase at points during the year. Like, this offense is gonna be really tough, but I just don't know if I trust this defense all the way. Especially a big part of this, to me, to be honest, is coming down to Zach Taylor's job is so fucking hard right now. When you have to look your players in the eye after the front office is blatantly telling them we don't value you.
Yeah.
Like that screams a nightmare locker room situation to me.
Yeah.
And makes me question, how are you going to develop all these young guys you have on defense?
It's crazy looking at this team over the past 5 years too. 44-38, and they've won the division twice. They've made a Super Bowl, and it's just tough to judge. I mean, they play in a super tough division, maybe the toughest division in football. And but Joe Burrow is fucking good.
He is. And that's what makes this so hard. This offense is gonna eat, and this team won 5 straight down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not taking the under here. I don't like anything on the board. So best value, you're probably right, is Super Bowl or division, but again, I'm just not very confident in any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super confident they win the Super Bowl, but at 21-1, I feel like that's your best value.
Yeah. I think this team, they should be vying for a playoff spot. They should be over 10 wins because it's all just because of the offense. But that locker room aspect worries me. Like that, I think if I were a player on this team, I'd be pissed off right now.
Yeah.
At the organization, not in the pissed off way that helps you win football games.
Yeah, but the Trey Hendrickson thing they got to figure out, and Shemar Stewart they got to figure out, obviously.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, with Cam Taylor-Britt and DJ Turner and Dax Hill, you have and maybe even Jordan Battle, you have a bunch of guys who are vying for an extension here in the next year or two. So that does,
or a contract elsewhere.
Yeah, or a contract elsewhere. I said extension because that some of them might still be under contract next year, but they're that timer's going off in their head of it's time to do something. Same with Miles Murphy, who we talked about at length earlier. There's some of that timing coming up where it's shit or get off the pot kind of time. So that could help in their favor. But ultimately, I feel so in between on this team.
I just felt bad for some of these players the way this organization's run.